L'Homme au Doigt, 1947, is one of the most iconic sculptures by Swiss artist Alberto Giacometti. This bronze figure, with its strikingly elongated limbs and minimalist detail, captures a raw expression of human isolation and presence. Created shortly after World War II, the sculpture resonates with themes of existentialism and fragility. Giacometti was deeply influenced by the trauma of war and the philosophical climate of post-war Europe, especially the existentialist ideas of Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir. The figure stands tall, almost spectral, with a thin, attenuated body and a gesture that seems to pierce space. One arm is extended outward, pointing emphatically, while the other curls behind in a dramatic pose that balances assertiveness with ambiguity. The exaggerated proportions and rough textured surface evoke a sense of vulnerability and introspection. This skeletal form, lacking anatomical realism, forces viewers to contemplate the essence of human existence beyond the physical body. Giacometti was fascinated by the idea of presence, how we perceive the space people occupy, and how distance, light, and perspective shape that perception. L'Homme au Doigt is a distilled representation of this preoccupation. The sculpture was originally modeled in plaster and cast in bronze later. It measures approximately 70 inches, around 1.8 meters, in height, emphasizing its verticality and solemn elegance. Only 6 casts of L'Homme au Doigt were ever made, along with one artist's proof. This limited edition contributed to its extraordinary value in the art market. In 2015, a cast of L'Homme au Doigt was sold at Christie's for a record-breaking $141.3 million, making it the most expensive sculpture ever sold at auction at that time. The sculpture's pose invites multiple interpretations. Is the figure warning, accusing, guiding, or simply gesturing toward the void? The ambiguity is part of its enduring power and mystery. Giacometti worked obsessively to capture his subject's presence, often destroying and remaking pieces multiple times. He reportedly completed L'Homme au Doigt in one night after an intense burst of inspiration. The rawness of the piece suggests immediacy and spontaneity, yet the thought behind it was years in the making. Giacometti's earlier work with surrealism and his later turn toward realism both inform this sculpture's form. The base of the sculpture is simple and unadorned, further isolating the figure and emphasizing its detachment from any specific time or place. The pointing gesture can be seen as both accusatory and prophetic, suggesting a deeper psychological or even political commentary on the human condition. Giacometti once said, "He was less interested in likeness and more concerned with what I saw in the street, the fleeting glimpse of a figure at a distance." L'Homme au Doigt crystallizes this ephemeral vision. The sculpture has become an emblem of modern existential sculpture, representing humanity stripped to its essence, fragile, alert, alone, and aware. Technically, the surface texture was achieved through Giacometti's unique sculpting method, repeatedly applying and scraping away plaster or clay until he achieved the desired emotional resonance. His figures, especially this one, are marked by their stark verticality, a quality that connects them to totemic or ritualistic objects across cultures. The thinness of the limbs and body, far from being a mere stylistic choice, was Giacometti's way of expressing how we experience others in space, not as solid, detailed forms, but as distant presences. The bronze cast preserves every imperfection and tool mark, making the artist's hand palpably present in the final work. This sculpture marked a turning point in Giacometti's career, transitioning him from a niche surrealist artist to a central figure in post-war modernism. Despite its fame today, Giacometti never sought mass appeal. His work remained intensely personal, born from his inner anxieties and philosophical inquiries. The figure's placement, slightly leaning, arm extended, gives a sense of motion frozen in time, like a snapshot of existential urgency. Unlike traditional heroic sculptures that celebrate physical perfection or historical greatness, L'Homme Doigt is stripped of all grandeur, celebrating instead the fragile dignity of mere being. Giacometti was close friends with many intellectuals of his time, and his studio in Paris became a meeting place for thinkers like Sartre, who famously wrote about the infinite solitude in Giacometti's art. L'Homme Doigt also embodies the tension between form and void. The figure defines space as much by its presence as by the emptiness around it. Its gesture, unmistakable and yet ambiguous, gives it a narrative quality, allowing viewers to project stories, emotions or ideas onto the silent form. The sculpture's roughness contrasts with its elegance, creating a dynamic interplay that is both brutal and tender. This piece is not just a figure, it is a metaphor for modern humanity, isolated, searching, haunted by purpose and doubt. It stands alone like many of Giacometti's works, emphasizing the individual as a solitary unit within the vastness of space and time. The sculpture's influence can be seen in contemporary art, where minimalism, raw materials, and existential themes often echo Giacometti's legacy. Its universal symbolism, stripped of cultural or historical markers, allows it to speak to viewers across time and place. Ultimately, L'Homme Doigt is a paradox. It is both a cry and a whisper, a presence and an absence, a relic of despair and a beacon of human resilience. Giacometti's L'Homme au Doigt continues to captivate viewers, not because it offers answers, but because it embodies the enduring questions of existence with startling, sculptural clarity.